Okay, let's start this humanitarian watch with the situation in Myanmar or Burma, whatever somebody prefers. So there's a massive problem with food. The hunger is growing. UNHCR and the World Food Program have been warning from it. Last year, it was more than 13 million people who are suffering from hunger. This year, it's going to go most probably to 15 million people. And on top of this, they are calculating that about 20 million people, this is 1 in 3 people living in Myanmar, they will need humanitarian assistance. So like basically 1/3 of the country just lives off humanitarian assistance. And now why the situation is so bad? It is so bad because of several factors. First of all, is of course this conflict that is happening there since the coup. Then we have this crumbling economy at the moment and successive weather-related crises. So this all spiraled the costs of food, and apparently those basic foods, food types like rice, bread, or oil, they rose last year by 30%. That's really a lot for people who already have a little. And the inflation at the moment is more than 25%. So it's just getting worse and worse. UNHCR and World Food Program are appealing to get more funding for this part of the world. However, it is really difficult to bring more aid there because of this unstable situation. Okay, there are places where conflicts are worse in the world, yet it's bad. So what made it even worse is the Donald Trump's ban on US aid. So many funds have been stopped, and now simply there are no resources to continue those programs. They're calling this the first policrisis. So there are so many crises on top of each other that it's just like, it's not about solving one of them. It's about basically starting from scratch almost with the country, with the economy, with the political situation, to be able to start fighting the global warming challenges. It's everything. And it's a terrible, really difficult situation for people who live there.
And I heard that the military ruling junta suppressed information, and routers, I don't know how they pronouncing. They spoke
Depending
to more.
if you're American or British.
Routers spoke to more than 38 workers, researchers, diplomatic sources, and United Nations officials about hunger in Myanmar. Most declined to speak on the record, saying they fear distribution by the military.
Yes, of course.
Let people die, no information. But this is crazy.
Absolutely. And, the problem also is that many young people left the country. If they could, they predominantly crossed to Thailand. So, now you don't have this new generation that would fight for a better future for their country. And many of them do really shitty jobs. They are being exploited severely in Thailand, but, they don't see any other possibility for themselves because they would be incorporated in the army if they stay. So this is another thing. Yes.
So it's a little bit better for them at least. Oh my God. Yeah. Okay.
On top of it, we should probably mention, we spoke a lot about Rohingya community, right? Predominantly in Rakhine State. This is one of those states next to Kachin and Chin that are mostly damaged by those several crises. But in Myanmar as a whole, at this moment, 4.5 million people are displaced. Again, so, it's like so many need humanitarian assistance. So many are displaced. And how are you gonna fight all of this thing? And obviously, there are always opportunities for other businesses, illegal businesses. So because of everything that is happening in Myanmar and the fact that the government is really not controlling everything, Myanmar has become the largest, the world's leading producer of opium and heroin, and one of the largest manufacturer of methamphetamines. So it's everything.
Okay.
It's extremely problematic, and with the government unwilling to cooperate with anybody, it's unlikely that something will change anytime soon.
And if some of them manage to go to Australia, you're going to put into Nauru Island, and your suffer just starts there.
Yes.
Again and again. Oh my God. Whoa. All right, you ready for a positive? You like positive
Yes,
news.
please.
Okay, this happened last year, but we're talking about it now. Afghan Taekwondo athlete makes history by winning the first medal for the refugee Paralympic team.
But you know why we're talking about this now? Because it was nowhere before
Yeah, they
last
didn't
year
show it.
when the
I didn't
Olympics
see
and
it, yeah.
Paralympics were happening. So it's cool that there are stories popping up now.
And especially she's from Afghanistan.
Yes.
I asked Dawoud about how to pronounce it. I lost it now. Zakia Khudadadi. All right. She made history by winning the Paris Paralympic, becoming the first refugee, like I said.
She got the bronze medal, right?
Yeah.
In
And
Taekwondo.
she says, this is what she says, I went through so much to get here. This medal is for all the women of Afghanistan and all the refugees of the world. I hope that one day there will be peace in my country. And I'm happy that she mentioned the women there. She lives in Paris. She trains in Paris, and she was born without one forearm. She started practicing when she was 11 in a secret gym in Afghanistan. And I had this idea, she could start training women there in Afghanistan. And because nobody is going there to save them, I see the world is like Taliban, and country by country, they are talking to them. So I would say train women there so they can kick fucking Haqqani and his fucking men, really, because I don't think that the world is gonna save them. I don't know. And she's very, she inspires women, and not only from Afghanistan but from everywhere. Yeah, she's a really nice person, and
this is such an uplifting story.
Yeah.
And being honest, I got very emotional when I was reading this and curious about how this whole thing works. So I remember that this refugee team, because it's a special team created just for people who had to run from their countries. They do not have citizenship of their countries yet, the new countries. So it was created in 2016 by the Olympic Committee, saying that let's help people who are still, who should be part of the Olympics and Paralympics, and create this team. And then I thought, okay, but how do they really train? Who sponsors them, right? And actually, there's quite a lot behind it. Yeah. So not only every Olympics, more and more refugees are joining the team. I'm going to tell you that the first Olympics, the ones in 2016 in Rio, there were only 10 athletes from the refugee community participating in it. But these ones, the ones in Paris last year, it was 37 athletes and 8 athletes for the Paralympics. So it is growing, and you mentioned that Zakia is training in Paris, with the support of the International Olympic Committee, but also there is a special foundation, Olympic Refugee Foundation, which supports them also financially and with some more know-how and abilities to find good coaches. And they also reach out to some private sponsors. For example, Nike, Visa, and Airbnb sponsored the team.
I was thinking about, for example, if you are one of the team, refugee team, and for example, she's from Afghanistan and she has to fight another Afghan woman. So how does it feel because, I don't know.
Maybe.
But do you think there are women representing Afghanistan now? In the
sure
Olympics,
not.
they don't let them.
No.
So maybe another country, I don't know. It would be a little bit weird.
Yeah.
But it's sport, I mean.
There's a great movie, Tatami.
Yeah,
right?
Tatami. Oh, remind me to download it.
But it's so good when a woman from Iran fights a woman from Israel, and she's being pushed to just
drop
out because they don't want to see this fight between them, right? Amazing story.
Yeah.
Okay. Congratulations to Zakia and more successes.
Yeah.
Okay, I have so many statistics right now because we're going to Trump's refugee ban. There are now so many bans and things happening.
You cannot keep up with Trump.
Seriously, you cannot keep up with Trump. It's just he just called Zelensky a dictator.
Yeah, he yelled at him.
Yesterday he was asked during the press conference because Zelensky was coming, how does he feel about it? It's I don't believe I ever said that. I was but everybody heard it. It was repeated a million times on different news stations.
Yeah.
I don't believe I would say that. Okay. It's hard to keep up with his ideas about refugees. Of course, in his mind, the pressure of refugees is too much for American cities. Therefore, we have to put a stop on it. So we know that there is a refugee ban. There was the suspension of US aid fundings, which created chaos in the humanitarian world. I don't know if people are aware of that, but it's a massive problem because they demanded all programs to stop because they will not send any more funds. So people lost their jobs. The whole services were suspended. And on top of that, now we have the ban on resettlement program. Yeah. So far, America was always putting those limits on how many refugees can come every year. And so there was a ceiling. Every president had their own since 1980, and they could every year modify it.
But at least you have a hope, like maybe I can get there.
Yes. Yeah. So now Trump is like, no, thank you. Before I go to these numbers, I just want to say what the whole thing is about. Our main news is that Trump's refugee ban is blocked, sorta, okay? So, a U.S. district judge, Jamal Whitehead, he blocked it, saying that basically president's prerogatives in this area are big, but they cannot stop the whole program as such. Yeah, so the program cannot be halted. And, of course, the administration wants to appeal. This judge, he is a Seattle, if I remember correctly, judge. Yes. And he was nominated by Joe Biden, just before he left, like a year before he left. So, obviously, his views are on a different angle. There was just a week before another challenge to this ban in D.C., but they didn't succeed because the judge said that they didn't manage to prove. Yes, this federal judge said that they didn't. Those were bishops that brought this to the court's attention because they do a lot of resettlement. So a temporary restraining order, which is what they wanted to say, is an extraordinary remedy that should be granted only sparingly. And they did not prove that if the restraining order is not in place, there will be an irreplaceable harm to the people who are affected by this ban. So he said generally no, but there will be another hearing. So maybe by the time people listen to this, there will be more.
I don't have hope that it's going to change.
Oh, Jesus.
I think it's going to get worse. I feel like because it's getting worse. I never seen something since he came to office.
But the thing is, like many of those things, like you cannot put a stop on everything. You can modify policies, you can modify some numbers, quotas, budgets, but to put a stop on the whole policy, that's bad. And now the problem is that the stop to this resettlement program, this is a program where like people wait for years to be resettled. So in different parts of the world.
And they deserved it, especially from Afghanistan. Yes, they worked with you guys.
Yeah, you were talking about this last time. Those are people who supported, worked with the army in Afghanistan, in Iraq, and now they don't know what to do. The problem also is on the US side because the funds were cut for everybody who help people resettle. So, people arrive, somebody picks them up from the airport, they get some temporary housing, they get some stipends basically for food, for different things, English classes, integration classes, and so on. They can get it, as I checked, up to 8 months, different type of support. And the funds have been cut. So now people are sort of somewhere, they live somewhere, but nobody knows who's going to pay their rent. People who work for those agencies, they have been laid off because they don't have money to pay the salaries.
They are collapsing organizations. Just Jaime, our volunteer, his organization just now in chaos. They just need money and they have so many people depending on them. I don't know. Yesterday or before yesterday, I was with my lawyer talking about my papers, and I just asked him, can you help me, get a visa somewhere, United States? I was joking. He's like, do you have $5 million? I was like, what? Why? He said, Trump said, if you pay $5 million, you're going to get your visa. I was like, wow, all right, yes. That's amazing.
Absolutely. Okay, I have some stats for you because I find it fascinating. So they decided on this ceiling for refugees in 1980. And then, of course, ceiling is one thing, and then how many people can go through the process is the same thing, and it's always lower, right? So they started in 1918, and they put the quota pretty high, and it was going down, down, down. Then Joe Biden made it a bit bigger. He made it 125,000 a year. However, the actual admission was low because, for example, in 2022, it was only 25,000 people that managed to come out of 125. Okay, still COVID, post-COVID a little bit, not much.
But what was the issue there? They were not accepted, or?
So you have to go through a really deep screening. Okay. So of you as a personality, the asylum services have to check you, then the Department of State checks you, and then you have to go through the medical screening. So you have to go through, and it takes time, simply, right? But can you guess which president put this cap on how many people can come to the US the highest? Like who admitted the most people, who said like, okay, I allow, I don't know, I'm going to tell you, 231,000 refugees to come this year?
I don't think it's Obama.
No.
Bush.
No.
Recent or?
Not so recent. No.
Oof, I don't know.
I don't think, because when I learned it, I didn't guess it. It was Ronald Reagan.
What?
Exactly, right? But he was, very much in favor of bringing people, it was the Cold War times. He was very eager to bring people from the communist and Soviet region, right? Cuba, then Vietnam, and places like this. So it was part of the bigger policy, right? It actually went a bit down during Obama, but
he deported more people. More stats?
No, basically that's it. Because now it's at zero with Trump.
I saw that, I don't know what happened when the priest was talking, that woman priest, and she was talking to him about refugees and immigrants, and we need them, blah, 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 and he just didn't care. He was like showing that he's bored.
He criticized her so much.
Yeah, but lively when you see him, nothing is getting through to him.
It was a very bad service. Was it a good service? I don't think it was a good service.
We go to Africa. All right. Another news from Africa, in Mozambique this time. And it's like so many countries there. Basically, people fighting with the government, these groups, these armed groups, and they attack a place. And this is happening in some place called Cabo Delgado since 2017. 1 million people flee their homes, and they don't know where to live. They are, all shattered in their own country. They are refugees in their own country, or they go to different countries. The issue is not only that, not only from human beings. It's from nature or God or whatever the fuck is controlling this universe. Like, it's not enough that the people are harming them. You send them cyclones, floods, and droughts, and it's too much for them. And there is this cyclone Freddy, and why we are giving like cute names to cyclones? They should be called fucking Cyclone Vladimir Putin, really. Really. The longest lasting tropical cyclone on record, devastating 8 provinces in early 2023, displacing 184 people. 1,000 people, oh my God, and leaving 1 million in need of aid. Like, what is going on? Like, imagine you're a person in Mozambique, and people trying to kill you, fucking the nature trying to kill you. Like, where do you go?
Yeah. So this is we started with this big polycrisis, and we're basically finishing with another. It's like a triple crisis because it's like the political situation, the weather,
climate,
the crime, Al-Shabaab there, and the corruption. So apparently, the aid workers, when they want to come with resources, they find it very difficult because their infrastructure is very bad, almost not existing in Mozambique. So it's really hard to reach people on top of this, the corruption. So it's a very sad fate almost to a country that has vast natural gas reserves. So they could actually profit a lot from what they are having, but it's not going to happen until the situation improves, right?
It's really, I don't know, they should be living wealthy life, not under all these attacks and nature and everything is against them. Yes.
Yes, and it is one of the most climate vulnerable countries in Africa, and it will always be vulnerable to weather. And unless you put your shit in order, your government, the corruption, the militia, you will not be able to build some kind of a policy against that, build solutions that will work and protect people, right?
For people who are there and they still believe in God, I don't know, they are saints. Because after everything like that, you should be considered a saint because I don't know how to say it. Everything is against you and you still believe. Go for it. I don't know.
Maybe this is the thing when you don't have like anything else, you know.
Yeah, but
sorry,
floods,
I don't want to offend anybody.
Floods and
the
stuff.
meaning is like you have to hold on to something.
I know, but floods, where is it coming from? I don't know.
Us, people, us.
I don't
Being unkind to the planet.
Clearly the Democrats.
Of course, the Democrats are forcing the clouds to go to certain areas and cause floodings.
Fucking DEI.
Yeah.
Yeah, and DEI is responsible for everything. Absolutely, of course.
That's it for our Humanitarian Watch and Climate Change Watch. We are watching everything, really, not only humans. God Watch, I don't know, like, all right, that's it. Do you want to thank someone?
As always, thank you very much to the production team, and thank you very much to our supporters, Allianz Foundation, Choose Love, Leave No One Behind, and Aputure for those amazing lights. Thank you
And
very
leave no
much.
mic behind. Road. This is the third time. Come on.
Road, sponsor us.